Hey, g'day guys, how you going? It's Justin Allen here with my Good Advice channel. Here to give you good advice for a better future. Right, what I'm talking about today is injection problems. I used to have a Toyota Prius 2016, and I had it since new, and it had a problem, a major problem, and it was only a couple years old and on 130,000 Ks. And you wouldn't believe it happened. I used to run the tank low a few times. I think about 3 times I did it. Run the fuel right down into reserve. And that probably could have been the reason, I think, that caused the injectors to get all fouled up. And another reason that they can cause it is dirty fuel. Sometimes, like, you can fill up at some servos, and when you're filling up your car, you don't know what the quality of the fuel is, how dirty it is. So I think that could have been another reason. I filled up at the metro stations, and I would have to say their fuel's always cheaper, but you don't know whether it's cheap and nasty. So anyway, the car was not only a couple years old, and it was running really rough, and it got worse as time went on. And I even took it down to a Toyota to diagnose the problem, and they couldn't work out what the problem was, and it was a waste of $150 for an hour of their labor, which was a bit, I took it down there especially and booked it in, and took a few hours off work to try and figure out what the problem was. And they said it's possibly injector problem, and that's all they really told me, that they want to keep it for more hours to do some more work on it, and they were pretty busy at the time. They couldn't really diagnose it 100%, but I said, no, look, I'll take it home and have another look at it. And I watched a YouTube clip, and he told me that it could be the injectors. So I thought it could be in the spark plugs or injectors. So I replaced the spark plugs with new spark plugs, and that didn't fix the problem. And then I got my brother, he's a qualified auto electrician, and he removed the injectors for me. And then I took him down to a shop in Clayton that specialised in injection cleaning, and they cleaned them and did a report for me, and it was reasonably very quickly, and they didn't take very long. It only takes them a few hours, and they diagnosed that they still didn't have to replace them, which would have been an expensive cost. I had it priced at Toyota parts, and they're very expensive to buy new injectors. They're can be $400 each or more. So it wasn't that expensive, and he only charged me $35 injector, $140. Did a report, and the injectors were running very poorly, not spraying adequately, and they're all out. They're meant to be running at 50% each injector, the tally, and they're running low, and they weren't exactly the same. But once they cleaned them, they're all running the same amount of flow. So that's the reason. And it was very orange too. They didn't look very clean too when you look at them once they were removed. So basically, if your car's running really rough, that can be one of the reasons on a new car that the injectors need to be removed and cleaned. And then you need to check your fuel. You need to check whether your fuel's dirty as well. You might be required to change the fuel filter as well, and empty the tank as well. Depending on, you got to really empty some fuel out and check whether there's floaties in it as well. And the car was running, when I started it up, it was running really rough, and it was pinning. You could hear it pinning, and it was very noisy. It was engine rockers, rock. It was very noisy when you started it up, and it did get worse as time went on, and the fuel consumption, once the injectors were all clean, was doing 4.4 litres to 100 k's, but at the time when it was running its worst, it was running around 5.7, and it even run higher than that on a hotter day. It was really bad, and it was running so rough, and I was driving Uber, and the car was running so rough that I had to try and figure out how to fix this problem. And it was running very rough when you're driving, and even it sounded like when we were driving, it was running so rough, it sounded like the gearbox had issues, but the gearbox had no problem whatsoever. And when you were cruising, it was running really rough too. It ran especially rough down low, at low RPM. It was terrible. It was running so rough, and at the time I was wanting to sell my car, and you can't sell it like that. You're just going to lose thousands of dollars. So I ended up getting it fixed, and it was running like a dream after that. So if you have if you have a problem when you can't, like a modern car that with injections and it's running really rough, that can be one of the problems. So check that out. Your fuel injectors maybe need to be removed and cleaned. Alright, have a good day guys. Alright, bye.